Okay everybody, part 4 of the video series. We had just removed the stern drive and the plan was to go jump back into the engine compartment and show you what the next steps were. So this video I'm going to show you how I physically plan to get the engine out of the boat. Some things to note about this Volvo Penta, same thing with the OMC. They have these little built-in attachments, and that's what you're going to use to physically lift the boat motor out. You also have this one right here. Don't recommend using it. Now if you go down, you can see this is actually made out of cast iron. I've replaced this before on a prior motor because it cracked it from freezing, and I could tell you in some models this has got a thick wall to it. In some models it has a thin wall. So if you're going to lift the whole force of the motor up with this side, you could end up breaking this or causing stress cracks down below later on. So definitely consider not using this as a lift point. Rather, you want to use the one on this side of the block, or this side of the head, and this one over here. So that's what I recommend, and then maybe just put something here to kind of help steer it, if you would. All right, so let me show you real quick physically how we're going to attach. So the chains are going to go like this. This is rated for 1,000. Read the tag. It'll tell you what the connectors are rated for, so you want to make sure you've got a strong enough chain too. Don't just grab any random chain when you're doing this. And this is going to be kind of like your lift point right here. And one of the things you'll notice is it's kind of rubbing against that plastic there. It's not worth it to damage this. I'm sure you can find another one. So what I recommend is just taking and popping that plastic off. Don't lose your bolt here or your nut. Thread that back on. Alright. And once you have that off, now you'll notice you've kind of got a really good clear lifting point. Alright. So that's on there good. That's on there good. You should have no problem. So let's call that good. Let me show you next how I plan on physically lifting this out of the boat. Now I know what you're thinking. How are you going to lift that boat motor out with this little block? And it's just for demonstration purposes. I'll show you here in just a second. I'm using 6x6s. They're actually, in the US, they're really 5x5. So what I'm going to do is put one on the ground, roughly 12 feet, and these will go down 2 feet into the ground, and then we'll bury them temporarily, not with concrete, but just with rocks and good topsoil. So we're going to bury one on one side, one on another side. They'll be 12 feet apart, and then we'll have a horizontal post go across, and they're all going to be 6x6 material. I've done this before, had really good luck. This lumber is really sturdy. This is southern pine, just in case you're wondering. They have different other types of 5.5 by 5.5, or what we call 6.5 by 6.5. You can find them at your local lumber store. The 12 footers that I'm about to show you, those run about 50 bucks a piece. So to get your whole entire engine stand, if you would, your engine hoist, it's about 150 bucks. So pretty cheap considering the idea you could repurpose the wood later on for other reasons. So anyway, let me show you what I built. All right, here we go. So this is a 6x6. It is currently installed and buried 2 feet in the ground and then just covered with the topsoil. It's prime lumber. I say prime, it's actually treated lumber. rated for ground use. And this is actually 12 feet tall. Now, what's realized above ground is 10 feet, because keep in mind, you've got 2 feet buried in the ground, so your engine hoist goes up 10 feet, and then it's met with another 6x6 that is 12 feet. And you'll notice I have those steel connectors. There's one on each side held in. There's roughly 8 screws up there. And then it comes back down here, where we've got buried in the ground another 2 feet. So pretty sturdy little stand we got here. I've had nothing but really good success with this, and this is what I'm going to use. So when you're thinking about making your own engine hoist or lift, if you would, just be careful. If you're going to be using 4x4s, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Keep in mind these engines are about 500-600 pounds. The one I have is roughly about that. So this 6x6 over this 12-foot span will have no problem lifting it. Done it many times and have nothing but good luck. That come along, that's up there. It's a ratchet style. It's a 3/4 ton. I've lifted a 5.8 with that before, and then this 5.0 is a little bit lighter. So I imagine I'm gonna have nothing but success there. But there you go. It took me about a day to dig these into the ground. Where we are here is solid rock, so we go about maybe 3 or 4 inches in the ground and we're met with solid limestones. So these are in there pretty good, and just keep in mind if and when I get the motor out, we can take these out, no problem. Okay, so we're back in the boat, and I've already removed these lag bolts here to demonstrate how well they were in, and it seemed like they were pretty good. Pretty good. I didn't notice, one thing to notice when you're pulling your bolts out is, can you pull the bolts out easily, and are they wet down in the hole? And you're looking for signs of moisture, because if there's any signs of moisture in there, then you can pretty much count on buying more material to fix these engine blocks. But this one's not bad. They use silicone on it. Yep. And jump onto this side. These are 3/4 inch. Alright, same thing on this side here. Not bad. So definitely got to get those out. You could technically, if you want, you could loosen these up, but these are what we use for the engine alignment, and I prefer not to touch those just because life is so much easier if you don't have to do the engine alignment. I'll check it anyway when I go to put everything back in, but if I don't have to do it and I don't have to mess with it, you better believe it, I'm not going to play with it. So you can see here the front engine mounts are out. Let's flip to the other side and check those out. Okay, loosen them up. Just a few little turns left. All right, a little bit of surface rust. Keep in mind that's normal. If you see it where you actually have threads missing, where it's actually been sitting in a pool of water, then you know there's probably a lot of moisture still in there. But these are good. It's not bad. Really not. Let's take a look at this one here. See if I can get a good shot. All right. Yeah. Same thing here. I'm gonna say these engine blocks for the front are probably all right. I'll show you a quick test on what you can do to test them. Yeah, using one hand here, so you're gonna have to bear with my visual. So basically you take your punch and you hit it right there. I mean, you're not trying to intentionally crack the fiberglass, but if it is compromised, it'll actually shoot right through that fiberglass. So fiberglass typically on these manufactured boats like this it's not very thick. This is probably just like chop strand. You can see it, if it waves like that pretty good, it's probably just chop strand. So you'll actually feel it hollow, and if it's real bad, it'll punch right through. So that's a quick test to check out your engine stands, see if they're any good. These are pretty good. So how rotten this one is not as bad as I thought, which is good. So anyway, organize all your lag bolts too. Make sure you don't lose them. If you got little baggies, throw them in a bag and label them. So let's call that part 4. We're at about 10 minutes. The next series I'm going to show you is how to pull off the bellows in the back of the motor. And sorry, not the bellows, the exhaust pipe for the back. And the reason why you want to pull the exhaust pipes out is because that allows you to get access to the bolts that hold the motor to the back side of the transom plate. So we'll get to that here next. As always, if you like the video, stay tuned for more. Subscribe if you're not already, so you get the latest and greatest content coming through. Have any questions, concerns? Leave some comments below. Have a good one.